Hello, this is Jack the Exam Guy again. We are going to be talking more business math. This is a bond calculation. You're going to be responsible for knowing how to calculate a bond. Okay, it is a little bit tricky, and that's why you need somebody to help walk you through it. It's not impossible, obviously. It's not super hard. It's just a little bit tricky. So we're calculating a bond. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to get out your contractor's manual and go to page 4-18. It doesn't matter if you have a 2017 or a 2021, it's the same page number. And you'll see something similar to what you see on the screen there. At the top of the page, it says the standard surety association rate for a Class B contract, which is general construction, is as follows. And then they have a schedule there. Okay, it's going to be very important for you to be able to find it. You may be required to find that on page 4-18 during the exam, or they may give this schedule to you. They may give you a modified one that doesn't have the same numbers, but as long as you know the concept and how to do it, you'll be able to navigate it just fine. Okay, so take a minute and just look at this. You might want to hit the pause button if you like and just kind of look and see because I'm going to ask you a question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just ask you to make a calculation based on what you see. Okay, you've been around long enough. You see you have a schedule. You see what the rate is. You see what the price is and so forth. So instead of walking you through it, I'm going to ask you to give it a shot on your own. So take a look at what you got here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to calculate the cost of a $2 million bond. Okay, you have a $2 million contract. You have to purchase this Class B bond, okay, for $2 million using this schedule and using what you see written on the screen there. Figure out what the cost of a $2 million bond is. You can hit the pause button, grab that calculator out, and punch some numbers and see what you come up with. Okay, here we go. I want to show you, okay, 9 times out of 10, if you haven't been walked through this, then you get the wrong answer. All right, so this is the wrong method here. We're going to cross this out. What's really tempting to do is to take the 2000. All right, we see that in the $2 million range, it's $10 per thousand. So we take the 3 zeros off and we multiply 2,000 times 10, or we get $20,000. This is what the test makers want you to do so they can make more money when you retake the exam. Okay, we are going to outsmart them though. We are outsmarting them. We're going to do it the right way the first time, or maybe it's not the first time for you. Either way, you're going to get it right the next time. Okay, so here we go. This is the right way to do this. All right, so you have to do this step by step. You see where it says the first 100,000 and then the next 400,000 and the next 2 million? You always have to start at the beginning. The first $100,000 of our contract is $25 per thousand. So if we're not super comfortable with this, with doing this, and understand it's 100,000, so it's 100 times 25. We can just cross out 3 zeros, and that tells us how many thousands it is. So it's 100 times 25. The first $100,000 of that contract, the bond costs us $2,500. All right. Think about that a minute. If you need to hit the pause button and scratch your head a little bit, that's okay. All right, this is not natural. It's not normal. It's actually, I've never spoken to anybody that actually does it like this in the real world. You only have to do it like this one day of your life. And that's the day you take this exam. Okay, so the next 400,000 of this bond costs us $15 per thousand. Okay, so it's 400 times 400,000, so it's 400 times 15, and we get 6,000. Okay, so we have now accounted for the first $100,000 of the bond, and now we've accounted for the next $400,000 of the bond. So the way you have to think about this is that we have now calculated the cost of the first $500,000 of the bond. Okay, so we still have something, okay, left over. We should understand, and we can do this in math in our head, that now we have $1.5 million left over. Remember, it was a $2 million bond. We've already accounted for $500,000 of it. Now we have $1.5 million left. All right, so it's $1,500,000. All right, we take off the 3 zeros. It's 1,500 times $10 per thousand, and that's $15,000. The remaining $1.5 million of that bond costs us $15,000. So now we have calculated a full $2 million worth. We calculated the first 100,000, the next 400,000, and then finally the remaining $1,500,000. And we add them all together and we get 23.5. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. All right, hopefully you learned a little something there. And now we're going to do one. Okay, we're going to do one $800,000. So what I want you to do, I want you to hit the pause button. I want you to use the schedule on page 4-18, and I want you to calculate the cost of an $800,000 bond. I want you to hit the pause button, calculate it out, and let's see how you did. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so here we go. We have our schedule. All right. The first 100,000 always costs us $2,500. 100 times 25. The next 400,000 always costs us $15 per thousand, $6,000. Okay, same thing. And don't be tempted to start in the middle of where you did the last bond, that kind of thing. Just go back to the beginning, start all over again. Okay, 2,500, 6,000. So we have accounted for $500,000 of the bond. Now, what do we have left? Well, it's an $800,000 bond. We've got $300,000 more to go. So we go to the next step. The next $300,000 costs us $10 per thousand. So it's 300 times 10, or $3,000. Okay, very good. And then we add them all together, and we get 11.5. An $800,000 bond on test day is $11,500. All right, well, let's see.